Hello friends, welcome to Kavita Medicos Education, and today's disease condition is influenza. So influenza is also known as flu. So from where this term influenza came? So in 15th century, people used to think that this disease is caused by the influence of stars or celestial body. Okay. Now let's see the definition of influenza. So it's a highly contagious disease. So it's a highly infectious, highly contagious disease. It means it will spread from one infected person to many other peoples. So it's a highly contagious, highly infectious disease, acute viral respiratory infection. So it's an acute disease condition. So the duration of influenza is from 3 to 5 days or 3 to 7 days. So it's an acute viral disease condition which will infect our respiratory system. So it is caused by influenza virus. So this disease is caused by the virus known as influenza virus. It belongs to the family of orthomyxoviridae. Okay. So here I have shown you the diagram of this virus. So it's a single-stranded RNA virus. So here in the middle you can see there are 8 strands of RNA. Okay. So this virus is surrounded by a lipid bilayer and it have 2 proteins on its surface. First we have hemagglutinin, that is known as HA. Next we have neuroaminidase, that is known as Na. Okay, these proteins help the virus to get embedded into our epithelial cells of our respiratory system. Okay, so it's a diagram of a virus. So it is caused by the single-stranded RNA virus known as influenza virus. It belongs to the family of orthomyxoviridae. Okay, that primarily affects the respiratory tract. So this virus will infect our respiratory tract, especially our nose and throat. And sometimes it can also spread to our lungs also. Okay. And if we talk about the severity of this disease, so it can be in a mild form, it can be in a serious form, or it can be in a life-threatening case. Okay. So person can have death due to the influenza. If it is not treated properly and if the immunity is very weak, then this influenza have a complication like pneumonia and bronchitis. Okay. Where it will be in a serious or life-threatening case. So what we have read in a definition. So influenza is a disease condition. It's a highly contagious disease condition. It's an acute disease condition. Duration is only 3 to 5 days. And it's a respiratory tract infection which is caused by influenza virus. It is a single-stranded RNA virus. Okay. Now, in a common language, it is also known as seasonal flu. Mainly it occurs in the winter season from October to March. Okay. But in some countries, it can occur in any season. So especially if we talk about India, so it will occur mainly in winter season from October to March. And the common name of influenza is flu or seasonal flu. Next we have, it's an airborne disease that affects the respiratory tract. So it will spread into the air. How? If any infected person will talk, cough or sneeze, then the virus will come into the air. Okay. And if you are touching any contaminated surface around that person, then it will go into our respiratory tract also. Okay. So mainly this virus spread through the air. So it's an airborne disease. Means any infected person, if talk, cough or sneeze, then this virus will spread into the air around us. And if we are inhaling the same air, then this viral will go into our respiratory tract. So last 3 to 5 days. So duration of this influenza is 3 to 5 days. That is why it is known as acute disease condition. But the fatigue will remain for up to 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Even after getting cure, the person will have a fatigue or tiredness that will remain for 2 to 3 weeks. So this influenza can occur in many ways. Okay. It can also occur as a seasonal case. Okay, that is known as endemic case also. Endemic means if this virus is spread to a small region or a small population or in a one community only, then it is known as endemic. Endemic means a particular people or a particular community is affected through the virus. A small group of people or population is affected by the virus. It is known as endemic case. If this virus is spread to one and more communities, it is known as epidemic case. Okay, epidemic means there is a larger influence of this virus, okay, in one and more than one community. That is known as epidemic case. And next we have pandemic. Pandemic means it will spread into the whole world, just like coronavirus, okay, just like coronavirus. So it will spread into the whole world. That is known as pandemic case, okay. So this virus have its pandemic effect from last 1918 to 1919. So it is spread from the span, that is known as Spanish flu. And in this pandemic case of influenza virus, 70 to 100 million people died. Okay, from 1918 to 1919. Then it again spread as a highly pandemic case in 1957 in the Asian region, that is known as Asian flu. Then in 1968 to 1969, it spread from the China, from the Hong Kong city. Okay, so duration is 1968 to 1969 and millions of people die here also. Next, it spread into 1997 into the birds. Okay, so this virus can spread into the humans as well as into the animals also. So in 1997, it spread into the birds, and from 2003 to 2004, it have a pandemic case in the cocks or in the hen. Okay, and from hen and cocks, it spread into the humans. Then in 2009 and 2010, this virus spread into the pigs, and then from the pigs, it come into the humans. Okay, so this was the definition of influenza. So next we have causes of influenza. What is the causative agent for the influenza? So influenza is caused by the influenza viruses. Okay, so these viruses belongs to the family of Orthomyxoviridae. Okay, so influenza is caused by the influenza virus and it belongs to the family of Orthomyxoviridae family. This is the family of RNA viruses that infect respiratory tract of many animals, birds and humans. Okay, so all the viruses which have genetic material RNA, that is single stranded RNA. Okay, so the virus which contain the genetic material RNA, they belong to the family of Orthomyxoviridae. Okay, and these virus will infect the respiratory tract of humans and animals and birds as well. Okay, so this is the RNA viruses family. Okay, so now you have learned that influenza is caused by influenza virus. Now there are 4 types of influenza viruses. Okay, so influenza have 4 types. Number 1, we have influenza A. So what is influenza A virus? So these are the most dangerous, most common and most serious type of virus. Okay, so most common virus is influenza A virus. It is most dangerous and serious. It will infect the human as well as the animals, for example birds, pigs, horses, etc. Okay, so this virus, influenza A virus, is infecting the humans as well as the animals also. Next we have causes, epidemics and pandemics. Okay, it will infect or it will do its seasonal outbreak, that is known as epidemic, and it will also cause pandemic. Pandemic means a world infection. Okay, if the virus is infected in the whole world, that is known as pandemic. For example, there is bird flu, that is known as avian flu, and there is swine flu in 2009, and there are many other pandemics in the world. Okay, so influenza A virus will cause seasonal epidemics as well as pandemic around the world. Okay, now serious symptoms. If the person is infected through influenza A, he will have or she will have a serious symptoms of influenza. So symptoms will appear in a serious form or in a dangerous form. Next we have frequent antigenic shift and antigenic drift. So after every 1 and 2 year, this virus go into antigenic shift as well as antigenic drift. Now what is shift and drift? Okay, drift means when the virus will do a small change in itself, that is known as drift. Okay, and shift means when the virus will do a bigger change, a more change in itself, that is known as shift. Here I will explain you how. This is the diagram of a virus. Okay, this is the diagram of an influenza virus. Here in the middle you can see there are 8 single stranded RNA. Okay, so influenza A virus have 8 strands of single RNA. So this is the genetic material of RNA virus. Okay, this is genetic material of virus, and this virus is covered by a lipid bilayer, and on the surface of this virus there are 2 proteins. First we have neuraminidase and next we have hemagglutinin. Now understood. What is drift? Drift means when the virus will do a small change in its protein, in neuraminidase or in a hemagglutinin, that is known as drift. Okay, and shift means when the virus will transform itself completely and appear as a new virus, as a new viron, as a new virus that is known as shift. So influenza A have drift N1 to N11. Okay, so it have done its 11 drift in the neuroaminidase protein, and it have done H1 to H10 drift, H10 drift in the hemagglutinin. Okay, drift means a small change in its protein, and shift means a complete transformation or complete change in the viruses, that is known as shift. So shift is more dangerous as compared to drift. So it have N1 to N11 drift, and it have H1 to H10 hemagglutinin drift. For example, you have heard about H1N1 virus. Okay, you have heard about H3N1. Okay, so these are some common example. Next we have yes inclusion in vaccine. So influenza A have its own vaccine, and this virus is included in the vaccine. Inclusion means when the dead virus is added in the vaccine. Okay, all the vaccines are formed from the dead, or some are formed from the live virus also. So this virus is included in the influenza A vaccine. Now let's come to the influenza B. So this is less severe than as compared to A. Okay, it is less common, less severe, and less dangerous than A virus. Infects humans and seals. Okay, so it will infect the human being and seals. What are seals? Seals are aquatic animals. Okay, these are aquatic animals. So it will infect the humans and it will infect the seals, but it will infect the seals in a rare form. Okay, there are rare infection of seals, but mostly it will infect the human being. Next we have seasonal epidemics. So it will cause seasonal outbreak. It will only cause the epidemic. Epidemic means when the virus is infected in a large area or in a large population, that is known as epidemic. It is not worldwide. It is only in a one and more communities. Okay, when the virus will infect the one and more communities, then it will called as epidemic. So it have a seasonal outbreak, seasonal epidemics. Moderate symptoms. So the symptoms will appear in a moderate form. Okay, they are not very serious. They will appear in a moderate or in a mild form. Next we have antigenic drift. So this virus will do only antigenic drift. Antigenic drift means a small change of the virus, that is known as drift. Yes, inclusion in vaccine. So influenza B have its own vaccine, and this virus is added in the vaccine. Now we have influenza C. So this is mild and weakest. Okay, so influenza C is very mild kind of virus. It is a weak kind of virus. It will infect the human and the pigs. Okay, for example, swine flu. In 2009 we had swine flu, and in 2009 pigs were infected through this influenza C virus, and then from pigs it comes into the human beings. Okay, so it will infect the humans as well as the pigs. It have a very mild kind of symptoms. Okay, just like cold and cough. Sometimes it is misdiagnosed as a cold. Okay, so influenza C have very mild symptoms, just like cold symptoms, but it is misdiagnosed with the cold also. Next we have epidemics rare. So it have a seasonal outbreaks which are in a rare form. Okay, which are in a less form. Next we have very minor changes. So this virus will do a change in itself. Okay, it's a minor kind of or little kind of change. Next we have no inclusion vaccine. So vaccines are not available. This virus is not added in the vaccine. Now let's come to the influenza D. So it will infect only the cattle. Okay, thank God. It is not infected the human beings. So there are unknown symptoms. Okay, so it have not infected the human beings. So there are no known symptoms of this virus. Okay, symptoms are not known because it have not infected the human beings yet. Next we have epidemic rare. So there are rare or less seasonal outbreak, and again it have no vaccine. It is not included in the vaccine. Okay, so this is the structure of a virus. So the cause for influenza is influenza virus, and it have 4 types. So next we have epidemiological factors. So in epidemiological factors of influenza, we are going to study the mode of transmission of influenza, its incubation period, its infectious period, what is the age group and sexes it infect, and the environmental factors. So here I am starting with the mode of transmission. So how influenza virus get spread? So first it is spread through droplet infection, okay, by coughing, sneezing or talking. Suppose any unhealthy person or the person who is suffering from influenza, if that person will speak, talk and cough, okay, or sneeze, then he will spread the virus in the air. And if we are inhaling the same air, or if any healthy person inhaling the air, then the virus will also enter into his respiratory tract. So if any influenza person will sneeze, cough and talk, then the virus will spread into the air. Okay, if you are inhaling the air, then this virus will enter into our tract also. Next, we have direct contact. So how direct contact? So if you are touching with the contaminated surface and then touching the mouth, nose and eyes, okay. So if you are touching the vomits or contaminated surface in which virus are present, okay, and then accidentally we are rubbing our nose, eyes and mouth, then this virus will enter into our respiratory tract. Okay, and if you are coming in close contact with the influenza person, then also there are chances that virus will enter into our respiratory tract. Next, we have incubation period. So what is incubation period? So incubation period is a time period from when the virus enter first time into our body and when that person will show its first symptom. That mid period is known as incubation period. Okay. So first entry of virus and first symptom shown by the person, that period is known as incubation period. So it is 1 to 4 days. So typically it is 1 to 4 days, but average it is 2 days. Next we have contagious period, that is known as infectious period. Okay, in which period the virus spread most. Okay, what is the infectious? What is the highest infectious period of influenza? So 1 day before, when symptom do not appear. Okay, if person is not showing the symptom of influenza but the virus have entered into his body, okay, so it is 1 day before when symptom do not appear, means the person is not showing the symptom but he will spread the influenza virus to other peoples, and 5 to 7 days after symptom onset. Okay, and when symptom have appeared, then after 5 to 7 days, okay, after continuously after 5 to 7 days, he will show or he will spread the influenza virus. Next we have age group. So which age group it will infect the most, and sex means male or female. Okay, which sex it will infect the most. So all age groups comes under influenza spread, and both the sexes male and female comes. But if we talk about highest rate, the highest rate are seen in children who are below 5 years of age and old people who are above 65 years of age. Okay, next we have environmental factor. So which season or which environment it spread the most? So we all know that it's a pandemic disease, especially influenza A virus. Okay, so it's a pandemic disease worldwide, and the most common and most dangerous, okay, virus is influenza A virus. It's a pandemic virus. But if we talk about epidemic, okay, if we talk about seasonal outbreak, then this virus is spread mainly in winter season, okay, especially in northern hemisphere. So all the countries which come under northern hemisphere, they will get infected through influenza virus. And especially if we talk about India, then it's in summer and in rainy season. Mostly the month are from October to Feb. Okay, October to Feb. So this was the first part of influenza virus. So guys, if you are gaining some knowledge from my videos, so please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for watching my videos.